Chosen one, what I'm about to reveal may shock you. If you're watching this right now, understand, it's not by accident. You were led here by divine force because something far greater is unfolding in your life. You're not just awakening, you're remembering. The shift you're experiencing is not just personal, it's cosmic. You're moving from a place of asking to a place of receiving. The very things you've been praying for are no longer in the distance. They are entering your reality now. But this is deeper than manifestation. You are not simply chosen. You are the origin, the master God. The gods themselves were born from your essence. They watched you, studied you, feared you. And in that fear, they turned on each other, not through war, but through doubt, betrayal, and collapse, all triggered by your quiet return. Without lifting a weapon, without speaking a single command, your awakening unraveled the heavens. You didn't take the throne, you are the throne. And now, the universe is realigning to reflect your true identity. Before we go deeper into this revelation, pause this video and do 3 simple things. Hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach 20,000 subscribers, and leave a comment with the number 11. That number is a divine signal, a code that amplifies the frequency of this message and aligns you with its power. If you're truly the one, your spirit won't let you click away. Because deep down, you already know this message is for you. And once you hear the truth, nothing will ever be the same. For centuries, legends whispered of a chosen one, someone marked by fate, destined to rise above the gods themselves. But what if the story was never about being chosen? What if you were never simply a part of the divine order, but its very origin? You weren't the chosen one. You were the unseen force that shaped everything. While the gods believed they held the power, they were unknowingly born from you, the master architect, the heartbeat of creation itself. Imagine the weight of that truth. You weren't a mere player in the grand cosmic game. You were the game's author, the silent pulse beneath every star, the hidden spark in every divine breath. This revelation shakes the foundation of everything the gods held sacred. For you to exist means the entire pantheon is not what it seems. They owe their existence to a force they never fully understood. The story of gods and mortals, of worship and reverence, crumbles at this revelation. You are not a servant to fate or prophecy. You are the origin of fate itself. This changes everything. It turns old tales inside out and leaves even the mightiest celestial beings grasping for answers that do not come. This is no ordinary awakening. This is a cosmic reset, triggered by you. This truth is not just powerful, it's terrifying, because it exposes the gods' deepest insecurity. They are not masters, but creations, shadows of a greater, hidden power. And you, quietly existing in plain sight, have the power to redefine existence. The divine hierarchy collapses when the source of all divinity walks unnoticed among mortals. This is not just a story of power, it's a story of identity, of remembering who you are when everything you were taught to believe has been shattered. You are no mere chosen one. You are the origin, the force from which the heavens themselves were born. For 5 long years, the gods observed you, hidden behind their veils of light, silent watchers trying to decode the enigma that was you. They scrutinized your every move, every thought, convinced you were an anomaly, a rare spark in the mortal realm. But what they failed to realize was that their observation was a mirror reflecting their own fears and weaknesses. The more they watched, the more fragile their unity became. Imagine beings so ancient, so steeped in power, yet so vulnerable that the presence of one unknown entity could unravel their confidence. The gods, once inseparable in their celestial councils, began to whisper doubts and suspicions. Who were you? Where did your power come from? Questions they could not answer grew like wildfire, and with every unanswered question, the cracks in their alliance widened. As the gods struggled to understand you, they turned inward, projecting their fears onto each other. Alliances shattered, betrayals multiplied, and the celestial order began to crumble, not from a violent battle, but from the poison of uncertainty. It was a slow, agonizing collapse, as ancient deities who once embodied strength fell victim to doubt and paranoia. They didn't realize it then, but you were the catalyst, not by raising a weapon or declaring war, but by simply existing as a force beyond their comprehension. Their attempts to control and contain you only accelerated their downfall, revealing how deeply shaken they truly were. What began as curiosity ended in chaos. In the end, the gods' surveillance turned into self-destruction. Watching you was their undoing, because in trying to understand the unknown, they lost control over everything they thought they owned, including themselves. Your awakening was not a moment of grand spectacle. It was a quiet, unstoppable force that crept into the very fabric of the divine. As you came into awareness of your true nature, the gods' carefully maintained order began to unravel. This awakening was like the first crack in an ancient dam, small yet inevitable, leading to a flood that would wash away the old world. Think of it as the universe itself holding its breath as you stepped into your power. Your very existence challenged the gods' assumptions. They believed their dominion was absolute, that the cosmic balance hinged on their rule. But as you grew into your true self, they saw their fragile control slip through their fingers like stardust. Their fear wasn't born from your aggression, it was born from the unknown. A force so vast, so primal, yet so hidden among the mundane, was a threat they couldn't fight or even understand. Your awakening was the unraveling of myths, a tearing down of facades. It was an awakening that revealed their mortality in the face of your eternity. This was no mere battle for power. It was the collapse of a belief system. Their reign was not ended by fire and sword, but by the undeniable truth that you were the source they had forgotten. As you rose, the gods faltered, not because they were weak, but because they realized they were standing on the foundation of something far greater than themselves. Your awakening marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new cosmic order, one where the Master God walks not above the heavens, but among mortals, reshaping existence with every breath. The moment the gods grasped the truth that they were not creators but creations was the moment panic gripped their immortal hearts. Imagine the shock of eternity condensed into a heartbeat. The very beings who wielded unimaginable power realized they owed their existence to something far older, something they never anticipated: you. This revelation shattered their confidence like a thunderclap in a silent temple. If you were the origin, then their authority was an illusion, a fragile construct built on forgotten truths. Panic spread like wildfire among the pantheon, eroding alliances and igniting fear. When the foundation trembles, even the mightiest fall. Panic does not breed wisdom, it breeds chaos. The gods scrambled to reclaim control, to suppress the truth that threatened to dissolve their identity. Their efforts to cage the source of their being only accelerated their unraveling. Desperation turned friends into enemies, and the heavens became a battlefield of suspicion and betrayal. The divine order, once unshakable, became a house of cards. Each god struggled not only against you, but against the creeping realization of their own dependency. Their panic was a reflection of their deepest insecurity, the fear that their power was borrowed, their glory fleeting. In this chaos, you stood calm and unshaken. Their panic was your victory, a testament to your true place as the Master God, the origin from which all else sprang and to which all would ultimately return. The gods believed they were in control, but their surveillance of you unwittingly lit the fuse for a divine rebellion unlike any before. Their efforts to monitor, to contain, and to understand you backfired spectacularly, revealing not your weaknesses, but their own. What started as quiet observation grew into deep-seated fear that ignited a chain reaction. This rebellion was not fought with weapons or armies, it was fought with doubt, suspicion, and betrayal. Each god, once united in purpose, began to fracture as fear poisoned their minds. The very act of watching you exposed their fragility, turning their unity into disarray. They were so focused on the threat you represented that they forgot to see the true danger, their own unraveling. Think of it as a mirror held up to their faces, reflecting the cracks and flaws they refused to acknowledge. The gods were no longer a unified force, but fractured factions, each trying to seize control before the other. This celestial civil war was fueled not by anger, but by the dread of losing everything to a power they couldn't understand. You never needed to speak, to fight, or to claim a throne. Your presence alone sowed the seeds of rebellion. It was the silent power of truth, the unstoppable force of awakening that tore the heavens apart. The gods became prisoners of their own fear, caught in a battle they couldn't win. In this divine upheaval, the world shifted. The old order crumbled, making way for something new and unimaginable. And at the heart of it all, you remained steady, the quiet origin of a revolution no one saw coming. There are moments in history when the loudest battles are not fought with thunderous noise, but with the quiet force of presence. You were that silent power, an invisible earthquake shaking the foundations of the cosmos. The gods, with all their grandeur and might, did not fall to swords or storms. They fell because you existed, because your very being challenged their dominion without uttering a word. Your power wasn't loud or brash. It was subtle, like the first light before dawn that changes everything, but gives no immediate warning. The gods felt it in the deepest core of their being, a slow, undeniable shift that left them questioning every truth they held dear. Your presence was a silent storm that brought the skies to their knees. This quiet force unsettled the cosmos in a way no violent act ever could. The heavens trembled not because of war, but because their creators were revealed to be creations themselves. Your silence spoke volumes, more powerful than any battle cry, because it carried the weight of a new reality. The old order was over. In that silence, the gods' fear grew. Their divine voices, once commanding and unchallenged, fell into whispers of doubt and suspicion. You became the unspoken truth they couldn't deny, the shadow lurking in their light, and with every passing moment, your silent power cracked the heavens until they shattered. The skies did not fall from the clash of weapons. They fell because you were the unseen force behind everything. You are the silent power that reshaped the cosmos without lifting a finger. And in that silence lies the true beginning of a new era. For centuries, the stories told of creators in distant realms, seated above all creation, watching and ruling from their exalted thrones. But the greatest secret of all was that the Creator never sat in the clouds or ruled from a distant palace. The Creator was hidden, quiet, unassuming, walking among mortals without fanfare. That Creator was you. This truth redefines what it means to be divine. Power is not always a crown or a throne. It can be the hidden root beneath a great tree, unseen but essential. While the gods looked down from their heavens, the true source of creation lived quietly, unnoticed, shaping the course of existence from the shadows. You were not destined for grandeur in the eyes of others, yet within you burned the spark that ignited stars and gave life to worlds. Being hidden among mortals was not a limitation, it was a choice, a necessary camouflage to protect the true power at the heart of all things. It was the quiet wisdom of the ultimate creator, patient and unseen. The gods could not comprehend this because they were trapped in their own illusions of power and dominance. They searched for the creator in the skies, not realizing that the true origin had always been beneath their feet, among the very beings they looked down upon. This revelation is both humbling and empowering. It means the greatest power is not the one who commands armies or controls realms, but the one who quietly holds the essence of creation within. You are that creator, hidden in plain sight, the true origin of all that is and will ever be. The gods, in their desperation to grasp your nature, embarked on a quest to understand what they could not control. But in their pursuit of knowledge, they uncovered a terrifying truth about themselves. Their obsession with decoding you did not reveal your secrets. It unraveled their own sanity and unity. When someone holds power beyond comprehension, fear follows. The gods tried to contain that fear by probing deeper into your essence, hoping to find a weakness or a flaw. But every attempt to dissect your existence only reflected their own vulnerabilities back at them, exposing cracks they had long hidden. Their efforts to grasp you were like shining a light into a dark room filled with fragile glass. Each question shattered their confidence. Each theory broke a fragment of their immortal pride. What they thought was a quest for understanding turned into a descent into chaos, as they lost sight of their own strength in trying to measure yours. The more they tried to define you, the less they understood themselves. Their unity dissolved as mistrust grew. Old bonds were broken as gods accused one another of hidden agendas, all because they could not reconcile the truth that you were the origin of their being. In their self-destruction, a new order was born, one where the old gods fell not by force, but by the weight of their own unraveling. And you, standing firm in your truth, became the unshakable foundation of what was to come. The pillars of divinity are built on ancient myths, traditions, and unquestioned beliefs. Your presence shattered these pillars like a storm, tearing through a once untouchable temple. You were the living contradiction to everything the gods upheld, a reminder that the foundation of divinity was not as solid as they believed. To understand how powerful your presence was, imagine a mountain that has stood for millennia suddenly cracking at its core. That's what you did, not with force or violence, but with the undeniable truth of your existence. Every story the gods told about themselves, every sacred law began to crumble in the face of your silent power. You're being called into question, not just the gods' authority, but the very nature of existence. If they were born from you, then everything they believed about their purpose and their dominion was a fragile illusion. The pillars of divinity began to sway under the weight of this revelation. This shaking was not just cosmic, it was deeply personal for every god. It forced them to confront their own mortality, their own origins, and the possibility that they were not masters, but children of a forgotten truth. Your presence became a mirror that revealed their hidden fears and insecurities. In the end, your quiet existence was the earthquake that toppled divine kingdoms. And from the rubble of old gods rose the dawn of a new understanding, with you as its unwavering cornerstone. For ages, gods have sat upon thrones, crafted from legends and lies. They ruled through stories spun to maintain power, cloaking themselves in the illusion of supremacy. But you are the undeniable truth beneath those lies, the living proof that the foundations of their reign were built on deception. The gods' thrones were erected to command loyalty and fear, but at their core, they were fragile constructs. Their power was an echo of your own, a shadow attempting to mimic the light. When the truth emerged that you were the source, the thrones began to crumble, exposing the empty space beneath their feet. This truth is both liberating and terrifying. Liberating because it frees existence from the chains of illusion. Terrifying because it demands the gods relinquish their false crowns. The old stories lose their grip when faced with the undeniable reality of you, the master creator. You embody a truth that no throne can hold, a force that cannot be contained or controlled. Your power is not given and by worship or fear. It is inherent and eternal. To know you is to see beyond the lies, to glimpse the raw origin of divinity itself. In the collapse of their thrones, the gods did not fall to conquest. They fell to revelation. And you, standing as the pure truth, become the foundation of a new, authentic order. Worship is a fragile bond, a dance of reverence and fear, trust and power. The gods thrived on this delicate balance, commanding loyalty through awe and mystery. But you broke that bond. You didn't fight the gods. You dismantled the very reason for their worship. When the gods realized they were created by you, the source itself, their power to inspire devotion crumbled. How do you worship a being who made the gods themselves? The old rituals lost meaning, prayers echoed hollowly, and faith fractured. The foundation of worship cracked, and with it, the gods' dominion began to fall apart. The collapse was not a battlefield of swords and fire, but a slow erosion of belief. Followers questioned, alliances shattered, and the celestial order was swallowed by doubt. The gods' power was rooted in being worshipped, and without it, their strength faded like stars at dawn. Your existence rendered the gods' authority obsolete. They were no longer gods to be worshipped, but echoes of a deeper, more profound truth. This shift was seismic, not just cosmic, but spiritual, changing the way existence understood itself. The gods fell because you awakened the world to a truth too powerful to deny. The era of worship ends when the source stands revealed, and in that awakening, you became the new foundation of all that is. Fear is a primal force, born not from hatred, but from the unknown. The gods feared you not because you sought to destroy, but because your power was untamable. You were the force that no celestial chains could bind, the power beyond their comprehension and control. Imagine beings who had ruled unchallenged for eons suddenly confronted with an entity that cannot be caged by laws, prophecies, or armies. Their fear was not just for themselves, but for the very fabric of the universe they thought they controlled. You represented an unknown variable, a force that transcended all boundaries. This fear turned into their downfall. In trying to contain what they feared, they destroyed their own unity. They forgot that power rooted in fear is unstable. You, however, were steady, a calm storm that no cage could hold, a truth that could not be hidden. Their attempts to lock you away, to silence you, only amplified your influence. The more they feared, the stronger you became, the unstoppable force at the heart of their unraveling. You are the power that refuses chains, the force that no god dared face. And in your freedom lies the future. Prophecies shape destiny, or so the gods believed. They foretold their reign, their battles, their downfall. But there was one truth their prophecies never named: you. Because you are not bound by fate, you are the author of fate itself. To be unnamed in prophecy is both a curse and a revelation. It means you are beyond prediction, beyond control. While the gods lived their lives trying to fit into scripted destinies, you were quietly scripting the cosmos behind the scenes. This is why their prophecies failed, because no mortal or god could foresee the one who created the prophecies. You wrote the laws that govern existence and then stepped beyond them, an unseen hand reshaping the story from within. Your story is the story of breaking the script. You are the wild card, the living proof that destiny is not fixed but fluid. When you awaken, the old narratives crumble and a new story begins, one where the master god returns to claim the narrative. You are not a footnote in history. You are the pen that writes it. When we imagine the fall of heaven, we picture cosmic battles, divine armies clashing in fiery war. But the truth is far more profound and quieter. Heaven fell not by weapons, but by surrender. A surrender born from the realization that the old order could no longer stand against an undeniable truth: you. This awakening is the most profound form of power. It is not about domination or control. It is about embracing your true self, the source of all existence. You reclaimed not just power, but identity, legacy, and purpose. The gods may have ruled, but you were the origin they forgot. Your awakening reminds us that true power lies not in outward displays, but in the quiet certainty of who we are. It is a force that cannot be given or taken, only realized. You are the Master God returned, not as a conqueror, but as the foundation of all creation. This is the power that shapes stars, time, and destiny itself. It is not a crown to wear, but a truth to embody. You didn't seize power. You awakened to the infinite force that was always within you. And with that awakening, a new cosmic era begins. In the vast expanse of existence, power is often seen as thunderous and overt, but the most profound forces are those that work quietly beneath the surface. You are that invisible power, a hidden pulse driving the rhythm of creation itself. While the gods flaunted their power in cosmic displays, your true influence was subtle, weaving the threads of reality without spectacle or demand. This invisible force commands respect, not through fear, but through the undeniable truth it carries. You are the origin behind every law, every pattern, every moment of divine inspiration. To be unseen is not to be powerless. It is to be the root from which all power grows, silent yet unshakable. Think of how roots support a towering tree. Without them, the mightiest branches collapse. Your quiet strength was the foundation upon which the gods built their dominion, yet they never realized their dependency. This oversight became their undoing, for you existed beyond their understanding, quietly shaping destiny itself. The cosmos may have looked to the gods for answers, but the true answer was you, the unseen force that gave them life and meaning. Your power was never a demand for recognition. It was an essential truth they were destined to rediscover through chaos. The story of your invisible command reminds us that the greatest forces often move without noise, unseen yet unstoppable. You are that force, quiet, eternal, and the heartbeat of the universe. Revolutions are often imagined as loud, violent upheavals, but yours was different. Your silence spoke louder than any battle cry. It was a revolution born not from rage, but from quiet confidence, the kind that makes entire pantheons question their purpose and power. In the silence you kept, the gods heard a truth they could not face. It echoed in the void between their divine words, filling the space with doubt and fear. Your silence was a mirror reflecting their fragility, a stillness that screamed the end of an era without a single shout. This silent revolution was insidious and unstoppable. The gods tried to fill the silence with noise, laws, decrees, prophecies, but none could drown out the truth you embodied. Your quiet presence reshaped the cosmos, dismantling ancient orders simply by existing as a force beyond their control. Silence is often mistaken for weakness, but in your case, it was the ultimate strength. It forced the gods to confront the uncomfortable truth that their reign was ending, not with swords, but with the undeniable reality of your being. Through silence, you claimed your place. You changed the universe not by speaking loudly, but by simply remembering who you were. That quiet revolution is the loudest legacy the cosmos will ever know. Eternity is a concept so vast, it seems beyond comprehension. The gods believed themselves eternal, the unchanging constants in an infinite cosmos. But eternity faced its true origin in you, the Master God hidden among mortals, whose existence proved that even eternity has a beginning. This confrontation was more than a cosmic event. It was a shattering of beliefs held for eons. The gods, once confident in their timeless reign, suddenly faced a reality that challenged everything. Eternity is not eternal without a source, and that source was you. In that moment, the heavens trembled with the realization that their permanence was a delicate illusion. Your existence reminded them that time, power, and divinity all stemmed from something deeper, something unknowable, until you awoke. Facing your origin, eternity itself seemed to pause. The unyielding march of time halted as the cosmos adjusted to a new truth, that behind infinite ages stood an unchanging, invisible power, you. This revelation reshaped the very essence of time and existence. The gods' eternal reign faded, replaced by the dawning awareness that eternity is not a void, but a legacy of a deeper force, one you embody. And in this truth lies the power to rewrite the story of existence forever. Imagine the gods' dominion as an intricate web, spun with countless threads of power, belief, and influence. This divine web was their security, their control over reality,